Hello, hello, hello. So we're just gonna wait a minute or two for people to come in. So grab a quick tea, put the kettle on. We're gonna be here. Do you want to tell people a little bit about trade while they're waiting, just in case?
Let's have a look. Trade. So yeah, Trade Sexual Health. We're a charity. We kind of became our own charity in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
So how many years is that? That's got to be. Oh, was that 20th birthday last year? It was,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was Trade's 20th birthday. So it kind of started as a very small charity from a group of men when they were just wanting to give support to kind of HIV, to the gay community
Mm-hmm.
and give the condoms. It's kind of interesting because it was that whole thing. I think if people are watching this sin, it's a sin. They will know that whole time when
Yeah.
this little group of gay men were going out and getting people
Mm-hmm.
information, and
Where
that's what
does
they did.
the time? Why is the name trade? What's the time? How does it?
Well, yeah, this is always the thing. From my understanding and from what I know, it was kind of a polari word on the rough trade.
Okay.
So the whole trade, it's kind of not linked to it, but it was kind of inspired by the trade nightclubs in
Okay.
London,
Yep.
which were very hardcore. You'd kind of go in
Yeah.
for what you wanted and you came out
You
really.
get in, get what you want, and you get out. And that's kind of what we're here. Is obviously when we're fully operational in terms of our quick services or our safer sex packs for men. You literally come in, you get what you need, then you get out.
That's it. So that's where it came off, and that's where the trade. And you know what? We've tried over the years to change the name, give it a bit more, because actually it's not like that anymore. You can still come in and get those services, but we have we're diverse now. And we've got more stuff going on. But yeah, so it kind of stuck. But most people just
I think
call
it,
us trade
I think it works.
and
I think
stuff.
it
So
works.
yeah, but we've tried many times to change it and give it. But it seems to be that people just know the word trade, and even though we have tried and changed it, so yeah, that's my understanding of what it's linked to. But yeah, people always ask what trade stands for. It doesn't stand for anything other than that, really. But that's why we've added sexual
Yeah.
health, and we're quite holistic. So
Okay,
we
so
have a whole load of stuff.
I've got my cuppa. Have you got your
I've got
cuppa?
my cuppa as well.
Have you got your cuppa? Okay, so as I said, we're here for National HIV Testing Week. So the week itself runs from the 1st to the 7th of February. Its aim is to promote testing amongst the most affected populations in England, and Leicester's one of those. So in Leicester, our new diagnosis HIV rate is higher than the national average. So it's really, really, really important people within Leicester do get tested. Taking part in National HIV Testing Week is really, really easy and simple. You order a test kit online, you administer your own blood samples, and we're here to help you with that, and we'll show you how later. And then they'll give you a prepaid envelope, you post it, Bob's your uncle, so is your aunt, you're part of the campaign itself.
It's really easy, really, isn't it? And stuff. So, what's today's session's all about? So, all put together by Christian, of course, is we're talking about 5 reasons why you should test for HIV. I suppose it's that normal thing of people deciding, do they need to test for HIV? And my thing is going, you know what? If you've ever had unprotected sex in your life and you've never had a test, or you've not had a recent test, then you should.
Yeah.
Would you agree,
Yeah,
Christian?
definitely. And that applies to everyone, doesn't it?
Regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or anything
If
really.
you're single, if you're married, if you've got a sexual partner or partners, everybody needs to be tested.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to go to our reasons. We have 5 reasons. So reason number 1 as to why you should test. So knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. And that's a quote from Eric Thomas. So right now, testing is the only method to really determine whether someone has HIV. Many people can have HIV and be unaware of it. According to Public Health England, people who are diagnosed late with HIV are usually unaware of having it for from 3 to 5 years, and that's with no symptoms. So that's why it's so important to test on a regular basis. In Leicester itself, late diagnosis rates are 55%, and the national percentage is 42%. So that's those who have been diagnosed late. So that means over half of all the diagnosis in Leicester has been late.
It's so interesting, isn't it, when you get those figures together? And I suppose people still have that idea that if you've got HIV or something, then it's going to show, or, you know, you're going to be ill, or it'll show. And it's just such a misconception. And I think that brings it to heart, doesn't it?
And it goes back to it's a sin as well, doesn't it? In terms
Yeah.
of that whole concept, in terms of shame, and the character who Audie played, he had all the knowledge available to him, but he still didn't act upon it. And then it goes back to that quote: knowledge isn't power, applied knowledge is power.
Absolutely. And it is, you know, for those people who haven't seen it, It's a Sin is a fantastic TV show that's been playing on Channel 4, and I think majority of people have watched it. But it's really interesting. But it's also really interesting to find out about, you know, what happened here in the UK.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the whole AIDS epidemic kind of happened in America, but how it filtered into here.
Yeah.
And some of those things, you know, what people had to go through and went through, and why it's so important of what we're doing in terms of our work, really. So yeah, no, it's a great thing to watch. But yeah, like, absolutely, like what you said, some of those things that it mentions and talks about in there it was real, but it's very now as well. But you also understand that people, why they wouldn't do it, because there is this fear.
Yep.
The difference with It's the Sin is, at that time, there was just nothing available. There was no knowledge.
Yeah.
Actually, the knowledge that was there was not very
Well,
accurate.
for instance, in the program itself, the female lead, she had to get her friend who was going to New York to bring back books around HIV because there was no literature within this country about it. It was literally ignored.
Absolutely, and you also understood why people feared wanting to know their status, because, you know, you think about it and think, yeah, for those people, yeah, they want to know, but actually, it was a case of, if you do know, you were going to die.
Yeah.
There was no happy stories there. Very different now, where actually knowing your HIV status, and I know we're going to talk about that later, but it's not that there's so much available on knowing whether you're negative or positive. But yeah, so anyway.
In terms of testing, people ask how often should someone test, and that's really all determined by the frequency at which someone is having sex and how many people they're having sex with. So you have to factor in whether they're new partners or existing partners as well. So for example, if I'm in a committed relationship and I'm having sex with one person, I probably only need to get tested once a year.
But what if that other person is having sex with other people?
True, but as well as safeguarding myself, me getting tested once a year will help with that.
Absolutely.
Now, if you're someone, not mentioning any names, who has multiple partners, you need to get tested at least once every 3 months.
That makes it sound like that was me. That's not me, can I just say?
I'm not naming no names.
It's definitely not me. Not that that's, if I were, it would be a problem. But
So we got a question for you guys out there. When did you guys last test for HIV? Now, Salim's going to be manning the comments, so he's going to be involved in this. Every so often, he's going to come to the side and ask a question. So to answer a question, that's our first question for you guys. When did you get last tested for HIV? My last test was about 2 months ago. When was yours?
mine
Well, my last test before HIV testing week, but before that, it was about 2 months ago.
So yeah, so I got a test for HIV testing week, but before that, it would have been, because I was on PrEP, it was just before lockdown, actually, the first lockdown, because that's when I had my liver function test as well. I have to say, in terms of that whole period after that, I've not been sexually active, but I still did take a HIV test. And just to say, I'm probably the worst person to do these comments because I'm not very great at IT. But I'm going to have a look.
Jamie?
Oh, yes, here we go. So we will say, so we've got a comment here. It says, before COVID, I got tested every 3 months. Well, you know what? I have to say, to that, even though it is, you can still get tested now. So it might not be face-to-face, but we're going to talk about all the various ways. Again, it doesn't really matter whether it's pre-COVID or after COVID. If you're having sex, and again, this is one of the things, I think we've been to some trainings and we've been to some meetings where there is this census within the community that if they tell somebody, like a sexual health clinic or that they've been having sex, something's going to happen.
yeah.
You know what? We live in the real world here. If there is lockdown,
They know what happens behind closed doors.
and stuff, and there's lots of reason. We're not saying people should. Obviously, people should be adhering to social distancing and all of those measures. But if something has happened and you have put yourself at risk, that simple thing, don't just, get out there and get that test done.
You're not going to be judged
At all.
for going for a test. If anything, somebody will subconsciously judge you for not getting tested, knowing that you have been active.
And stuff. So it's the best thing. And there's lots of ways you can do that. We're going to talk about it later.
And just to say, McKinder said he got tested on Monday. Great stuff. Actually, I think he posted a video of that on his Snapchat.
Yeah, he looked amazing. Did you see how great he looked? I know. But anyway, yeah, he did. It went really well. So anyway, that's that going. So now that we're talking about testing, here at Trade, testing is free, accessible, confidential, quick, and always easy.
My comment from earlier, you see, it relates to certain people.
Not me.
I'm joking,
not me.
I'm joking.
And stuff. So in terms of testing, obviously, with COVID, we had to stop all of our face-to-face testing, really. But, like many places, I have to say Leicester has been really, really good, and especially places like Leicester Sexual Health Services. We were all really, really reactive in terms of making sure things are in place. Leicester Sexual Health Services, again, were great. Even though they couldn't do it, they still had accessible clinics. And even now, just to say, you can access those services.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of a protocol, but yeah, you can do that. In terms of us here at Trade, what have we done? We've had to go down into lockdown, but it's been great because we've started some new services. So obviously you can order your postal kit. You can get that from our website. And I think, Kristen, you're going to put all those links.
Yeah, the all should be in the little comment or discussion box. So it might be that side or that side.
Somewhere.
It's there. There's 3 links there. There's a link to order your home testing kit. There's also a link for your service sex packs. And there's also a link to our new demonstration video.
Which is, the demonstration videos are great. But yeah, that's all you have to do. So what we're doing here is go onto our website, order that postal kit. I think most people are saying that they are struggling with taking the blood. So what we have put in place is, as Christian said, we have created a demonstration video. There's also some top tips available. The video itself will tell you the best things to do in terms of taking the blood. And failing that, if you think, look, I'm struggling, what you can do through our website is book a virtual meeting, which is a live meeting where we will talk you through the process. You do need to make sure that you've ordered the kit.
Yeah.
We can't do that. So you need to make sure you order that postal kit. We can't do it on your behalf. You've got to go onto the website, onto that link, post it, get it at home, book that session with us, and then through video call, what we will do is literally guide you and show you how to do that. And if for some reason that's not worked, you've not been able to get that blood, or it's proving difficult, we have got the option where you can book in to do a face-to-face appointment with us just for taking the blood. But that's it. But you can book that, and we would just need to have a chat with you about that and book it in. But we can do that as a last resort. I think that's about it.
Okay, back to me.
It's back to you. It's back to you.
So reason 3, control, and I have lots of it. McKinder, do you want to be on top?
McKinder.
Salim. That's the nerves. Okay, let's start that
he's
again.
not here.
That's good.
But we're talking about
he's here
him.
in the comments as well. So he is technically here, but he's just not physically here.
Absolutely.
So let me try that again. Salim.
Oh, McKinder. So I was saying, McKinder's been really great because he's responding to all the comments.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, again. Salim.
Yes.
Do you want to be on top?
I can be versatile.
Of your sexual health. Okay, so it's really, really important to stress that remaining implicit and in the dark could have some really, really damaging effects on your sexual health as well as your partner and partners. If you test negative, you can then decide what forms of safe sex will work for you. Here at Trade, we're all about options, options, options. We say the best sex with the least harm, and that's really our motto. We all different. The kind of sex I may engage with may be different to yours, and may be different to yours. So again, it's important for you to have the best sex with the least harm.
I just love that. I think it's, you know,
It says it
and,
all.
and I think nationally, most people who work with, you know, HIV or community groups that do this, it's the kind of thing, because I think people have this idea that sexual health clinics or even places like us are a bit preachy and going to say, this is how to behave.
It's like the whole oral thing. It's like we say, oh, you should use condoms when you're giving oral or receiving oral. Like, yeah, that's best practice. But in my experience, I've not met many people who have said, put it on, or they've put it on. So we need to be realistic about the situation. And that's the only way we're going to get respect. And that's the only way we're going to get results.
And it is that, isn't it? Because all of these things, it's about reducing it and making it less.
Yep.
So that is the thing of going oral sex without condoms. Yep, okay. But then there's lots of other things that you're doing. But, you know, it's things like spit or swallow.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
if you don't swallow, that reduces the risk. So there, you're having...
And it's okay to say no.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, isn't it? About, I suppose consent is a big thing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And when you talk about the best sex with the least harm, that is about your own confidence as well, of not doing something because other people say so.
You have to advocate for yourself.
Exactly, and you know, and it is about. I suppose that's what HIV testing is. And your own sexual health. It's being in control of not being pressured to behave in a way or do something because other people want it to, or other people say this, or this might be. Really, it's all about what works for you and what is healthy for you. That's what I would probably say. What would you think? Agree?
Yeah, exactly. Well, even we had a little conversation about that earlier in terms of if I'm on PrEP, well, if I'm perceived to be on PrEP and I tell you I'm on PrEP, it's not for you just to believe me and engage with unprotected sex. It's really for you to either say, well, I don't know if you are actually on PrEP, therefore I want to use protection. So it's really about really putting your foot down and consenting to exactly what you want to do and not necessarily believing what anybody says, because you could say you're on PrEP and you could show me the bottle, but that bottle could be empty or out of date, or you may say that you take it every day, or you could be taking event-based PrEP but not taking it properly. So you really have to be careful and advocate for yourself when it comes to consent.
It is interesting, isn't it? Because it is like a big game changer. Because years ago, I'm not saying that was a blame thing, but it never, for some, it was your responsibility. And for others, it was like, actually, you would tell me if you've got something, whether it's an STI. So you would just kind of go, well, it's not my fault. You should have told me.
Yeah.
Which is really different now because it's about going, and I like that because being in this field for over 20 years, it's what we've been saying for years, that actually your health, your sexual health, your HIV, it's your responsibility. And it's great to be trusting, but you know what? It's...
We're all humans, and
you know
no
what?
one's perfect.
No, but it's a bit like, you wouldn't suddenly give somebody your car keys and go, a random stranger, go, here's my car keys. Yeah, do whatever you want with it. And I just think that's what it should be about. You protect that.
Yeah.
You protect that. You make sure you keep it healthy. It's anything. You just wouldn't just give a random stranger your mobile phone and
Yeah,
go,
true.
take it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, do whatever you want. I'm going to trust you with it. So it is that whole thing of why would you do that with your sexual health? But for some people, it is hard. And I think at Trade, that's why we have that holistic approach. That if you don't feel good about yourself, you're not going to make those choices.
You may take certain risks that may be detrimental to yourself and to other people's health as well as yours.
And I suppose, and that's the thing about being in the real world, going, you might feel you can't get tested. It's important to get tested, but we also know that for some people, that's really difficult, but we're here for that in terms of that. So we're on your top tip 4 that you created, and I think we're really about saying keep you and your sexual partners healthy. But this is it, really, isn't it? It is about the personal responsibility. Knowing your status is the biggest thing people can do. Really getting that honed in of going, because once you've got that, then you can make decisions on what you think and what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff. So, in Leicester, only 60% of those being offered an HIV test agreed to take one.
That's astonishing. Like, for me, I would say yes. I think if I've done all the swabs and I've poked here and there with myself, like, if I'm there, I've waited half an hour to be seen, I may as well just get it all done. I don't understand why people may say no. It could be down to shame. Actually, that's a good question for you guys. Why do you guys think somebody would decline a HIV screening test? So that's the next question for you guys. But maybe it could be like an ostrich effect, where if they don't know, they haven't got to deal with it. So that could come down to shame, possibly.
Yeah.
And again, it's a sin. That ties back to it's a sin as well.
Absolutely. And it is that thing that, again, talking about, it was so interesting when you said that whole thing and, that stat that we've just said about 60%, because people will go, oh, I had a full health check at my GP surgery. I had a sexual health check. And then you say HIV, oh yeah, no, that included it. Actually, it probably doesn't include it, because most of the time, if people are offered a HIV, they normally get asked to say, do you want a HIV test? So if you've not been asked that question, likelihood is you haven't got it. So it's just as important, to have those. So don't just think if you're going for a check or a test, it's going to include HIV. You need to ask for that, or you'll be asked. But the reason why, so let's have a look. I'm just going to go here because there's some questions. Don't take so. But yeah, somebody said here, and again, it's going back to your thing about shame. Going, it's a sin. It did do that, where people were shamed because people were being, targeted if they had it. We saw some horrible.
It was known as the gay cancer.
Absolutely, which is, again, here years ago, somebody who was HIV positive still had, and I'm not saying it's for everyone, because actually there are still a lot of people living with HIV who suffer stigma. Lots of things have changed.
And that's from within our own community as well.
Absolutely. So, that work still needs to happen. We still need to continue it, But, we're getting to a stage where we're talking about it, what we're doing now, and it needs to continue.
Oh, is it me?
Yeah, it's you.
Okay, so treatment and support is at arm's length. So guys, in the UK, HIV medication and care is totally free. In Leicester, there are several organisations like ourselves that offer free support and have services dedicated to those who have HIV. In addition to that, there are support services within Leicester and organisations who have community-led activities and groups and create safe spaces for those to socialise. So there is help and support and options out there for you. Finally, it's really, really, really important to say that, well, you just said it, we've come a long way from the 80s and even the 90s and even the noughties to a certain extent when it comes to HIV. New technologies means that everybody who is positive has within the UK has free access and healthcare, and that's such an achievement. It
is. It's just, it's brilliant. And I suppose we've been talking about PrEP, but we haven't actually mentioned what PrEP is, have we? Have we? No, we haven't.
We said that we're both on it.
We're both on it and stuff.
We both stopped during the lockdown because there was no point taking it if we weren't having sex.
No, absolutely.
But it's important to check the dates. When you do start again and you have old bottles, especially if they're from last year, it's really important to check the date on them to make sure that they're still in date. And if they aren't, if you're in Leicester, contact Leicester Sexual Health and try to organise a consultation for you to get your next batch. And that applies to me as well, because I still need to do that. I'm not perfect.
And stuff. So PrEP, just for those guys who don't know about it, is pre-exposure prophylaxis, which means...
I hate that word, prophylaxis.
I know. It's taken, it's taken me years to perfect saying it. But basically, it's a tablet that you take that can stop HIV from developing in your body. That's stumble there. That's why it's called pre.
And does it stop the virus multiplying as well?
Does. So that's what it is. It is a 1 tablet a day, but some people can take it as event-based. Again, all of this information is on our website, and it's also through the links as well. So you'll be able to tell the difference between the event-based, and also the daily tablet. And there's also Prepster UK, which is a fantastic resource which tells you all about PrEP. So that's it. That's just in terms of PrEP, just for those people who don't know that. And I think, Christian, you're going to talk about...
So there are those who are on the PrEP trial like myself, but soon it's going to be rolled out nationally for free. I know in Scotland it's already rolled out, but within the UK it's going to be available for anyone and everyone. So just maybe put something in your calendar to make sure you remember to ask your doctor about PrEP. But it is a game changer. PrEP has been a game changer, especially within our community. And it's really important to get the message out there within the heterosexual community as well.
It's such a great responsibility, because you're taking, obviously it's only protection for HIV, not for other STIs.
But still with that, by being on the trial and going in every 3 months, you're probably testing more regularly than you would had you not been on the trial. Because normally people will go through a screening if they have an itch or if they have a rash somewhere down there. So if anything, it's good because it's going to benefit you because you're going to get tested more frequently.
It is, isn't it? And it is that thing, but that's the thing of going, people, that's what's great. Once it's available free, because people are going to be in the system of, before they get prescribed it, they're going to have to do regular testing. It's all going to, there's going to be a whole, everything in place. I think it's great because at the moment, most people, you can buy it online, but if you are buying PrEP online, you do need to make sure you get your liver function checked out. And you need to make sure, especially, if you are having sex, that whilst you're taking PrEP, you're still going for that regular sexual health screening service for STIs and HIV to make sure, it's there.
And even just to also stress that those who are living with HIV who have or will have a U equals U status, which basically means undetectable, means untransmittable. So if you're on medication and you're taking it as prescribed, it is almost impossible for you to pass on your HIV to somebody else, and that's U equals U. And it's really important to get that message out there as well, because even still within our communities, on certain apps like Grindr or Scruff, so or some people have put their status on there, but even with that, I've heard some people say that they've been receiving negative comments about them putting their status on there, saying that they shouldn't put it on there, they shouldn't be promoting it. But really, if anything, that's more empowering because we need to get rid of the stigma. U equals U. Undetectable, untransmittable.
And I just think it's brilliant because, you know what, for, again, being in this field, I remember, years ago, the amount of stigma for somebody who was living with HIV, and in terms of just community, education, the things that were going on were so difficult and it was really hard. But, the power U equals U has given to somebody is absolutely amazing. And I think it's great that people, and those people who are out and proud and saying, I am U equals U, actually it's a really powerful thing. And more people need to do it and more people need to advocate it. Because, it also, people forget that most of the time, whether it's PrEP, whether you're regular testing, whether you're U equals U, we're talking about all of these people who are taking real responsibility and likelihood are healthier and taking the health and everything into account.
And I don't advise this, but I was having a conversation with a guy who has HIV, and he said that he could cut his arm and I could cut my arm and we could rub our wounds together, and it would still be impossible for his HIV to transfer over to me. And that was a big wake-up call to me, to make me really think about maybe my thoughts around HIV. So that was really eye-opening. And again, we just need to get that message out.
But let's just say, we're not
Don't do that.
No, that
do
was
that.
just,
Yeah, we haven't got enough insurance. Especially during COVID. So as we were saying about the stigma, it's just really important we get the messages out there to all communities.
Absolutely, it is one of those things, and that's, I suppose, is the biggest thing about the campaign of why it's important knowing your HIV status.
So guys, let's keep these conversations going within our friendship circle. Bye, Salim. I was getting some water. So let's keep these conversations within our friendship circles. Between our work colleagues. You can comment within the comment section here. You can send us a private message, get into our DMs, keep the conversation going around. National HIV Testing Week, and also we want to really stress that it is important for you to have a regular test, whether that's once a year, whether that's once every 3 months. So yeah, that's our main messaging. The test kits are still available to order. The link should be within the description somewhere. Somewhere.
It's there on
I think
ours.
McKinder might. Oh, he's got them on there. Perfect. He's got them on there. So the link's there for you. Order your test kit and get involved.
Great stuff. Thank you. That's it.
That went quite well, didn't it?
It did.
We were both really
But
nervous beforehand.
We were
but yeah.
nervous, but yeah. So there we go. So bye, everybody.
See ya.